Support for this podcast comes from the Central Valley Journalism Collaborative, connecting communities with the resources, infrastructure, and networks to ensure a vibrant local free press.
From KVPR in Fresno, this is Central Valley Daily. It's Thursday, April 3rd. I'm Elizabeth Arkalian. The city of Arvin has gone many months without filling a vacant seat on its city council, and how to do that has been the subject of debate and delay.
I support the investigation, and I support the grand jury's findings and its recommendations.
It's even got the Kern County grand jury weighing in. We will talk with the city's mayor to hear more, but first, these news headlines. Another high-profile Democrat has joined the race for California governor. Javier Becerra is the former state attorney general. He was also most recently the health secretary in the Biden administration. The race already includes the current lieutenant governor, a former mayor of LA, and a House representative. Governor Gavin Newsom spoke in Modesto on Wednesday to unveil a new higher education plan for the state. The initiative's part of efforts by the governor to bring more people into the workforce. The new master plan targets those who have training for certain careers, like in the military or medical field. The plan will create degrees at colleges that honor that prior learning. An employee at a Walgreens pharmacy was killed this week in Madera. Police believe the suspect in the shooting drove miles from his home in Tulare County to carry out the attack. The suspect pleaded not guilty on Wednesday in court. KVPR's Rachel Livenall reports the alleged shooter may have been angry with the pharmacy.
The first shot was fired around 9:35 p.m. on Monday. The bullets hit one employee in the store who later died at the scene. The suspect then fired several more shots at employees trying to escape. None of them were hit. Madera Police Lieutenant Mark Adams says the suspect is 30-year-old Narcisco Fernandez. He is from the town of Pixley, 80 miles away. Adams says there was no known relationship between the victim and the suspect.
Everything that we've uncovered so far, this was just by chance that he ended up here in Madera.
An exact motive for the shooting is still under investigation, though Adams says there are some early clues. Fernandez may have had a reason to target the Walgreens pharmacy.
He was angry at the pharmacy, but it's not like some deep-seated anger towards any and every pharmacy.
Police say Fernandez had no known criminal record. For KVPR News, I'm Rachel Livenall.
And a GoFundMe has been set up for the victim in this case, Eric Velasquez. The city of Fresno has broken ground on courts that will be used for a sport that's growing in America. The city will now have its first dedicated pitch fields for the game of cricket. Cricket is a game similar to baseball where two teams take turns batting or catching the ball. The goal is to score as many runs as possible. The game has grown in popularity in the U.S., and it's likely due to a surge of Southeast Asian immigrants in recent years. The fields will be available at Jaswant Singh Kalra Park and Regional Sports Complex in West Fresno.
Spring cleaning is around the corner. What a hassle. Let KVPR help by getting that unwanted vehicle out of the way. We'll tow it away free of charge, and we'll send you a receipt for your taxes. The best part, the proceeds will benefit all the public radio programs you love. Oh, and we can take RVs, boats, and motorcycles, too. Find out more at kvpr.org/cars or call 855-277-2346.
And now to our main story. Arvin is a community southeast of Bakersfield. It has rich ag land and green mountain views. This time of year, you can even see the super bloom of wildflowers that cover the nearby hillsides. But the view inside City Hall right now is a lot less scenic. City leaders are divided. The town council has a vacancy, and current council members cannot seem to agree on how to fill it. There are two options: hold a special election or appoint someone. Arvin Mayor Olivia Calderon is a proponent of a special election. She was just elected in November and took office in December. Calderon tells us she wants voters in her city to decide who will fill the vacancy on the council. But some council members are concerned over whether the city can afford to hold a special election and also express doubts about the integrity of mail-in voting. Arvin's problems on its council were also the subject of a recent Kern County grand jury investigation. For all that's unfolding in Arvin, we recently spoke with Mayor Calderon to get a better picture of the situation. She starts out by explaining the grand jury report and describes what led up to this point.
Well, we know that on February the 10th, the grand jury's investigative report, its findings became public to everyone, where the grand jury investigating this matter also found that the council failed. The previous administration failed to fill the seat. Back in the fall of last year, my mother, Olivia Trujillo, she passed away in March 3rd of 2024. And when she passed away, she was in her last year of her first term. The council decided to
As
appoint...
mayor of Arvin?
Yeah, she was elected. She was the first woman. So the council appointed an interim mayor, and that interim mayor, Daniel Borelli, became then, again, the mayor. He was a council member. And then they appointed an interim council member within the community, Tim Tarver. They appointed him onto the council. So at the time of Mr. Murillo's resignation, the council had already 2 members appointed on the council. And so when you look at the law, and the grand jury also lets us know this, you have 2 options when you get to fill a vacancy. You can appoint or call a special election. The law is clear. The law says that if an appointment would result in the majority of members there by appointment, then you can appoint. So at the time, the council already had 2 appointed members. Appointing a third was not an option. Calling a special election was the only legal option available to the council.
Last week, the council had the opportunity to call for a special election to fill that seat, and the vote was deadlocked in a 2-2 vote. Mayor Pro Tem Susana Reyes and Councilmember Donnie Horton voted against that proposal. Where do you stand on the issue? And also, did those council members express why they voted the way they did?
Those 2 council members, Susana Reyes and Donnie Horton, were a part of the previous administration, who also... Susana Reyes motioned actually to keep that seat open until 2026, and Donnie Horton voted for that. The only member at the time that was raising the red flags and expressing concerns and letting the council know that what they were doing was not abiding with the law was Councilman Tim Tarver. And so they were well aware back in 2024 that them wanting to either appoint and or leave that seat open until 2026, that was not viable. That was not a legal option available to the council. So fast forward to now. We have the grand jury report. We have the grand jury report's guidance to us, and we know that we get to fill that seat at the soonest available election. I have been of the opinion, and I've said this publicly numerous times, that I believe the community gets to decide who represents them in local government. The community gets to vote. It's through the power of the vote, through the community coming together and deciding who they want to represent them. That's so important. And that's how we build public trust. So I've always believed that the community should be the ones to elect their members. We should not be appointing people to the council and or boards when these positions are elected positions.
Okay, I'd like to note that the call for a special election wasn't just from Arvin city officials such as yourself, but also that grand jury report that addressed many issues in the city. But one of those was that the city should file an intent to hold a special election to fill the seat by March 14th. Now, we're more than 2 weeks past that deadline. So is the city defying that order in the grand jury report? What happens next at this point?
So these are obviously, it's uncharted. The irregularities that continue to happen. I know the grand jury is paying attention, and I've said this again repeatedly, that I support the investigation and I support the grand jury's findings and its recommendations, and I intend for us to respond. And I will continue to be responsive to the grand jury. In regards to the deadline, you're absolutely right. We've missed the deadline. And for folks, here that have been paying attention, they know that the meeting of February the 28th, for instance, that meeting was canceled for lack of quorum. Ms. Reyes and Mr. Horton both had an emergency and did not show up to the meeting. That was a first meeting where we were going to discuss publicly the findings of the grand jury report. And also, that said, I imagine that, again, the grand jury is paying attention and they could see that the staff of our city has recommended that we pass this resolution to hold a special election at the next day available to us, which is August the 26th. And they've seen that we've voted. Yes, the motion failed. However, we have an opportunity to bring this before the community again, make sure that everyone understands and is aware as to why we find ourselves in the situation that we're in now. When the council in the previous administration, that interim mayor and council failed to call that special election, we've now inherited the situation and we get to take responsibility, follow this process, pass this resolution, because we are going to follow the law in Arvin from here on out.
And I would imagine you could find yourself frequently in these 2-2 votes, ties, with no tiebreaker without a fifth council member, right?
That's exactly right. That is exactly the risk that we're all facing.
I just want to go back to the grand jury report really quickly. Outside the call for the special election, there were 10 other recommendations, including that the city get a city attorney by July, that the city hire an assistant city manager. Could you just briefly tell us how the city plans to comply with these recommendations and what's on your docket moving forward?
Thank you so much. Yeah, you'll find, you can see there for yourself that, and I welcome everyone. It's public information now available on our website in the city. We have been making progress. So we put out a request for proposals to hire a city attorney. We've received 6 proposals. We are holding a special meeting to go through the interview process. We intend to hire our new city attorney, a firm to represent us and, the legal needs that we have here in our city. And I'll tell you what, look, we take it day by day, moment by moment, and go out there and work in community. And I want to end with this. Look, there's an African proverb that I hold dear to my heart, and it goes like this. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And it takes a lot of work to be collaborative, to be in community, to help folks understand the issues, and also to listen to the community as an act of love. That it takes a lot of work, but it's so well worth it. It's worth the investment. And so look, we're moving slowly but surely. We're moving in the direction of healing and unity in our city so that we are up for this challenge. I wholeheartedly believe we are, to address the needs in our city, and we are being responsive one step at a time to those grand jury's findings and its recommendations.
That was Arvin Mayor Olivia Calderon. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, everyone. God bless you. Have a great day.
And that is today's show. Do you enjoy listening to the show? If so, you can support Central Valley Daily by leaving a 5-star rating in your podcast app. And thank you for your support. Today's episode was produced by Jonathan Linden and KVPR with support from the Central Valley Journalism Collaborative. I'm Elizabeth Arkalian. Find the latest local news anytime at kvpr.org.
This is Tanya Mosley, co-host of Fresh Air. You'll see your favorite actors, directors, and comedians on late-night TV shows or YouTube. But what you get with Fresh Air is a deep dive. Spend some quality time with people like Billie Eilish, Questlove, Ariana Grande, Stephen Colbert, and so many more. We ask questions you won't hear asked anywhere else. Listen to the Fresh Air podcast from NPR and WHYY.